Hi, I'm Chris Weston. I'm a technology advisor, and I'm here with Marc Dowd, who's an executive advisor at IDC. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Chris. How's it going?
It's very well, thank you. What we wanted to talk to you today was about what you're advising people. How are you working with your clients? What are you telling them about in the
Okay, thank you. So at the moment, I think a lot of what I was hoping I'd be advising people on isn't actually happening quite as much as I would wish. So I was thinking that one of the things that we really need at the moment is a lot of focus on data structures and so on. I'm not seeing really enough of that. A lot of what I am seeing is people with problems around processes and interactions with people, those sort of things that, typically it's not a technology question in my area, but certainly I just wish there was more about data because I think it's going to be vitally important going forward.
So how do you advise your clients to take that forward? What are you giving them in terms of tooling or advice on how to do that?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from the IDC research and advice around that. And I think there's a lot of pressure on CIOs, particularly at the moment, to get into Gen AI. We have to do it in the next 18 months. We have to be there. And so there's been a lot of experimentation, as you no doubt know. And a lot of that is leading to business cases, etc. They're not always as successful as one might hope. And I think a lot of that comes down to understanding of how AI actually works. It's new for a lot of people, but it's also about the fact that the data is really there to support it in a lot of cases, which is why my focus for a lot of this is to say, hey guys, data is really important.
And do you think there's a technical debt issue that's hanging around, or do you think it's something that people are solving in terms of being able to bring that data out of older systems, legacy systems, so that it can be used more effectively?
Actually, I think now's a really good time around a technical debt. People are actually engaging with it. And while sometimes a technical debt is bigger than the budget allow us to actually deal with it, which is a bit of a pity, people are focusing on it and making inroads, which I haven't seen for actually quite a long time. And maybe to your point, yes, it is around data. It's about getting into the data and putting it into systems, into AIs, which can actually use it in a slightly different way. So yeah, I would agree. Technical debt, very important. People are actually dealing with it, which is great. And from your point of view, what are you seeing that you need to advise your clients on?
I mean, very similar issues. And as much as we do have often, I'll see people who have systems that are systems of record that have been around for a long time. They've worked around the edges, they've worked around those innovative areas, but a lot of the data is still hidden away in some of those systems. And, we really need to build new models, new ways to get at that data, make it more usable, and also collect data more effectively as well. So we're seeing quite a lot of people using low-code tools, building smaller apps, collecting data from different people, collecting data from places that they couldn't necessarily collect it before. But of course, they're having to work quite hard around governance, quite hard around consistency in order to make sure that's useful in the long term. It's a sustainable use of technology. And I think that's always a tricky area for business, because business wants to grow as fast as it can. And the technology is there for people to use it. But the CIO and the technology teams, they've got all of the battle scars. They know how important it is to make sure that something is tested. They know how important it is that data is consistent. So, yeah, I've seen quite a lot of pull in terms of wanting to do things more effectively, but also there's some pushback in terms of security and consistency, etc.
You mentioned low code. Is that something you're seeing from a democratization of IT perspective, actually spreading low-code capabilities out into business? Or is it something else? Is it about professionals using low-code? What do you see?
We're seeing quite a lot of low-code used for proof of concept. So, how can we build something out quite quickly in order to test it, to test whether it's going to be useful to us, to build a business case from something that's perhaps a little bit more evolved, a little bit bigger in scope. So, from that point of view, it has been more the IT world, the coders have been going to the low-code world to build things quickly that they might want to actually then rebuild in a more mature way. Democratization is certainly happening, but I think that's always happened, and almost, the spreadsheet is that the original version of that, and that people have been building databases and applications on spreadsheets essentially for many, many years, and now there is another tool to do that, but it still requires a level of technical experience in order to really make that work.
And yes, I'd agree with that. I think your earlier point about governance is also interesting in that I see more maturity in people's approach to governance going forward. Is that something that you also see?
Yeah, certainly. We see lots of people putting those governance models in and trying to work to something which is sustainable, repeatable. But then again, that's not always the case. And sometimes people have to learn by their mistakes, and sometimes you have to be prepared to be wrong in order to make an advance. So it's a real balancing act between, it looks rather like security. You can lock everything down so nobody can use it, and that's extremely safe, but it's not very handy, right? Or you can open it all up so everybody can access it, but that's not very secure. The same goes with governance. You have to strike a balance at all times.
And in terms of taking advice, do you think that everybody needs advice, or do you think it falls into particular areas?
More than ever, I think. The world of technology is so all-encompassing now, whereas businesses, we're all consumers of, we're all users of, we're all providers of technology to our clients, to our suppliers, to our employees. It's so important now that we end up it almost needs that extra effort, that demarcation and different roles in order to do it properly. So when you've got an advisor who can take a third-party view, to take a step back, and to say, I've seen this done somewhere else, or I can connect you with somebody who's done it somewhere else, or here's the research which shows you that it can be that it's being done this way, or that this is the best practice. I think that's really important now.
I agree, and I think that in reality nobody knows everything, and that's great. You see really mature organizations, IT organizations, who may be coming across something totally new, or at least it didn't really work very well the last time, and so getting some outside views, so how this could work better, what we need to do differently, is more important now than almost ever before. And that's an area which some people don't even recognize, which is a great pity. That it's difficult to talk to people about into getting advice. It's like therapy.
But of course, nowadays, you get the technology question wrong in a business, and it can really be the end of you, whether it's a regulation issue or whether it's just a competitive issue. It's almost the most important decision you make. So it doesn't make any sense to skimp on getting that decision right.
I totally agree. Okay, excellent.
Thank you, Marc.
Oh, thank you, Chris. It's very interesting talking with you.